Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about Oprah Winfrey and how she used the power of the mind and the law of attraction to get everything she ever wanted and so much more. If you're interested in this topic, please stay tuned till the end of the episode. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for sharing, liking, commenting on the video, even negative comments. I do appreciate all of them. It does help my channel grow and I do really appreciate it. So please keep on doing so. Now let's get to the topic. Oprah Winfrey was and still is one of the most influential women in the world. She was the host of the Oprah Winfrey Show for over 25 years, which was the highest rated show of its kind. Her fortune is estimated at $2.7 billion US, which made her the richest African American woman of the 20th century. She also starred in movies like The Color Purple, which got her a nomination at the Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actress. She's also famous for being this larger-than-life, inspiring character and philanthropist. She lent her name for many causes, especially those in favor of empowering young women. Oprah Winfrey was born in the rural town of Cosquilco, Mississippi on January 29, 1954. After a troubled adolescence in a small farming town where she was sexually abused by a number of male relatives and friends of her mother, Oprah Winfrey moved to Nashville to live with her father. In 1971, she began working in radio and television broadcasting in Nashville. In 1976, Oprah moved to Baltimore, Maryland, where she hosted the TV chat show People Are Talking. The show became a hit and Oprah stayed with it for 8 years, after which she was recruited by a Chicago TV station to host her own morning show. She won over the competition. After several months and 100,000 more viewers than Phil Donahue, Oprah's open heart, warm-hearted personality won over the audience. The show went on to be the last show in the ratings to becoming the first. In 1986, the famous Oprah Winfrey Show was born as a nationally syndicated program that ran for over 25 years. In the first year alone, the show grossed over $125 million. The show was placed on 120 channels. She later gained ownership of the show from ABC, making her even more money. In 1994, as talk show hosts became increasingly trashy and exploitative, Winfrey decided to keep her show free of tabloid topics, which made ratings fall at first. The respect she earned from her audience after that led to an upsurge in popularity. In 2004, the syndicated show was seen on nearly 212 US stations and in more than 100 countries worldwide. Other ventures on TV have helped her sustain and grow her audience throughout the years. The Oprah Books Club. Oprah Winfrey's book club contributed immensely to the publishing world. The program propelled many unknown authors to the top of the bestseller list and gave pleasure reading a new kind of popular prominence. Oprah's Favorite Things, an annual segment that appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. In this segment, which airs during the Thanksgiving week and was inspired by the song My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music, Oprah shared products with her audience that she felt were noteworthy or that would make a great gift. In addition, the members of the audience would receive items for free. Oprah Winfrey found her purpose and inspired people throughout her show over many years. Oprah Winfrey said that we should be full of ourselves, which does not mean we should be arrogant. It means that we should be our fullest authentic self. When you're being full of yourself, you are being full of you, your authentic you, your ideal you. That's so freaking important. That's why Tony Robbins said that 80% of success is an inside job. And that's why his own mentor, Jim Rohn, said that you have to work harder on yourself than on your job. You might think it's crazy. I know I did it first, but it's completely true. Nonetheless, the more you deal with your consciousness and see what blocks your own light from shining, the more you will let go of and the more easier and effortless your work and life will be as a result. Oprah said that you need to be still to have clarity. Preparation meets opportunity, as she would also say. When you have stillness, your mind has more energy because the clouds of thoughts, cravings, and movements of your mind are not there to stunt the joy and the peace. That energy is happiness. That energy is peace. When your mind is at peace, then you can enter a flow state. That's when ideas, solution can come, because the subconscious mind is much more powerful than our own thinking. Thinking is conscious. Our subconscious mind is connected to a much higher power. Call it infinite intelligence, call it God. Labels don't matter much. What matters is that you let go of your need to control and your need to know now and have it all right now. Your only job is to, as much as possible, as often as possible, let go of everything preventing, blocking that stillness. For that, you need to allow yourself to be imperfect. Part of Oprah Winfrey's success is due to the fact that people were able to relate to her. They could see her as a friend even though she was a worldwide megastar. In one of her interviews, she mentioned that she had made a mistake mispronouncing the name of a country. At first, she felt bad about it. She thought about it and realized that there was nothing wrong with mistakes. Mistakes make us more authentic. Everybody loves people who are natural, and being natural means making mistakes and owning them. Allowing yourself to be imperfect, to fuck up. Be fearless. Oprah Winfrey had to overcome a lot of things in her life to get to where she was. For that, she needed courage. As Jim Carrey would say, fear will play a role in our life, but we get to choose how much of a role fear has in our lives. Life is not about eliminating fear altogether. Fear is acting in spite of fear. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that when we do the thing we fear, fear leaves us. Kamal Ravikant said that oftentimes the greatest things are waiting for you on the other side of fear. Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, said that we can't really be fearless without a little bit of fear to begin with. Therefore, we should be thankful for fear because it serves as a signpost on our journey, on our path. Fear manifests itself in our body when it has been given too much power. Generally speaking, fear is this ball you feel in your stomach. Sometimes your fear is more of a general fear, something that no direct action can actually relieve. At least not right now. When fear has reached that level, you need to let go of it by facing it. Let it come up to the surface and peel off the layers one by one. That's a concept from the book Letting Go by David Hawkins. You have to let the fears come out and see if they're justified. Soon you will see that a lot of fears that will come up are complete bullshit, complete nonsense. As Jim Carrey said, there's a difference between a dog barking at you in your imagination and a real dog that is actually barking at you. I read a study once that showed that up to 98% of our fears are unjustified. When you start facing those fears and realize that most of them are BS, letting go will come automatically. Now what about that 2%? That 2% is justified, which means there is some ground below this fear. That fear might actually come true. What then? The Stoics have a practice called negative visualization, which consists of imagining the worst case scenario. Once you have done that, you have to pragmatically see what solutions you have to apply if that fear would come to pass. In one of his TED Talks, Tim Ferriss goes into more details on that Stoic practice. His practice is more specifically targeted for people who are at a crossroad in their life and need to make a big decision. Nevertheless, the essence of that practice is more important than the mechanics of it. Take a piece of paper and write down that 2% fear in one column. In the second column, write the worst case scenario. In the third column, write down what exactly you could do if that fear were to come true. In the fourth column, write down how you would benefit if you were to have even a little success from making the decision you feared. In the fifth column, write down what will happen if you were not to take this decision, not to make this decision. Tony Robbins has something similar in his teachings. He said that in order to change, you need to build a great incentive in your mind and or build an imagined alternative that's so horrible that you have no other choice but to push yourself into taking the right course of actions. Jordan Peterson also has a similar practice where he would ask his students to write down the ideal life they would want to have in 5 years and the things they would have to do to make that vision come to life. He would also make his students write down what would happen in 5 years if they were not to do the things they are supposed to do. As you can imagine, that picture is not a beautiful one. Those practices are similar and differ a little bit technically, but the essence is pretty much the same. It's all about lighting a fire below your ass and trying not to get burned by doing whatever you need to do to move forward. One thing Oprah Winfrey talks about as a key to her success is forgiveness. She told a journalist in an interview that she had forgiven those who had abused her. For a lot of people who have lived this kind of trauma, it is hard to even fathom forgiving those who have perpetrated violence against them. You have to understand that when you forgive, it is first and foremost for yourself. That anger and guilt is a burden you are unnecessarily putting on yourself. You have to let go of this load in order to move through life in a lighter fashion. You don't have to forgive the people directly, but you need to let go in your heart. Tyler Perry is one of Oprah Winfrey's best friends. He's also a very successful Hollywood producer. He's the most accomplished African American producer in Hollywood. He was abused physically by his father as a kid. His father has no love for him and made it clear to Tyler. Jim Carrey has a saying, "Beware of the unloved." I read somewhere that one of the greatest things that can happen to you is to be your parents' favorite child. When we are young, love is so important for our growth. Not only our growth mentally, but our physical growth. Studies have shown that a lack of love as a toddler can stunt our physical growth and cause problems in the future. Tyler Perry carried that anger and frustration for so many years, that bitterness. After his father passed away, he went to his grave and cursed him with all the anger he could muster. One day shortly after, he finally decided that it was time to forgive and let go. He said that this was one of the best decisions he had ever made in his life and a major key to his success. He said that after this, he started having more and more success. You have to understand that according to David Hawkins, feelings like anger, guilt are the lowest on the vibrational chart. Once you let go of those lower vibrations, you automatically reach a higher level of vibration closer to love, peace, and acceptance, especially if that anger was strong to begin with. I remember a story of 2 soldiers who were captured by the enemy and put in a POW camp for a significant amount of time. During that time, they were beaten and tortured. After the war, they were released. Decades later, those soldiers, now much older, met again. One of them had let go of the past. He asked his old friend if he had forgiven the enemy after all these years. His friend answered with a resounding no. He said he could never forgive what they had done to them. The first friend, after so many years, had forgiven those who had been so horrendous with them. The other friend did not forgive and was living with that anger. This man was still in prison. Please remember that to err is human, but to forgive is divine. It will take time, but you can little by little forgive those who have wronged you and feel your heart getting lighter and lighter. Benjamin Franklin said that energy and persistence conquer all things. Persistence is key. Oprah Winfrey did not have it easy, but ever since she was a kid, the only thing she had was a vision and faith. She was tested many times in her personal life and her professional life. As I mentioned just now, she was abused as a teen. Even as a professional, nothing was handed to her on a platter. She did not fill the role of a radio host well. She was awkward and made many mistakes along the way. Faith kept her going. Ernest Holmes said that faith is developed through persistence. Napoleon Hill said that persistence leads to success, and Earl Nightingale said that faith is persistence because if you had no faith, you would not persist. When she was around 30 years of age, Oprah read the book The Color Purple. She became obsessed with it, so much so that she would gift it to everybody she could. One day she heard that Steven Spielberg and Quincy Jones were about to make an adaptation for the screen. Oprah Winfrey wanted nothing else but to be a part of that movie. She started telling everybody that she would be a part of that movie. Shortly after, she got a call from a casting agency. She was being casted for a part in a movie called Monsoon. She asked the agent if he was sure that it was for Monsoon and not for The Color Purple. She told him she had been praying for the latter. He told her that it was a casting for Monsoon. She still went to the casting, and it was, in fact, for The Color Purple. She was reading for the movie she dreamt about. Not only that, she was reading for the part of Sophia, which was a major role in the story. Sophia is also married to Harper, which is Oprah spelled backwards. She thought that this is a big sign that she would be in that movie. Months later, she had yet to hear anything from the casting agency, so she called them. She told the agent that she had not heard anything yet. He told her, "I called you, you don't call me. Why are you calling me?" He added that they had real actresses that had auditioned for that part, and Alfred Woodard had just left his office. He also told Oprah that contrary to her, Alfred was a real actress with experience. She hung up the phone and knew she was not going to have the part. She felt terrible. She started asking God why he had done this to her. She thought it was because she was fat, so she decided to go on a fat farm in Wisconsin. One day, as she was running around a track on a cold, rainy day, she started praying. She told God she could not understand why he had done this to her. She told God that she wanted to be in a space where she could be thankful for the opportunity, but she could not. Not right now. It was too hard. She pleaded with God to help her let it go. She started singing, "I surrender all. I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all." That song spontaneously came to her. At first she could not surrender, but she kept on singing and praying and singing and praying and also crying more and more, up to the point when she could feel herself letting it go. She told herself that she was going to be alright. At first she thought to herself that she was going to be alright, but she would not want to see the movie. She kept praying because she wanted to feel okay to see Alfred Woodard in the movie and be happy about it and bless her in the role she had yearned for. At that moment, she said to herself that she would be okay watching another actress in the movie. All of a sudden, someone came up to her and said that there was a call for her. She got the phone and started talking. Steven Spielberg was on the line with her. He called her to give her the role she had prayed for. Her prayers had been answered. And this is the end on the topic on Oprah Winfrey. Thank you so much for listening till the end. I appreciate your support. If you want to know more about this subject, please check the link in the description box below. I just wrote a book on how celebrities use the law of attraction to succeed, and I hope you will like it as well. Thank you so much for listening, and see you soon.